You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. That's the Karen Reed trial. So earlier we showed, you didn't get a chance to hear from the LA District Attorney regarding the Menendez brothers hearing. Right now, happening live is the Menendez brothers attorney that's speaking after that hearing. Let's listen in.
You know, if a defense lawyer did that, I'd be accused of every dirty name in the book. But I'm not going to dwell on that today. We look forward to coming back on Tuesday. We look forward on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week to getting yet another ruling under the standards, and so that everybody understands the reason this is important. His Honor already took jurisdiction of the resentencing. By not allowing the DA to withdraw, there is now a presumption. And the presumption is that unless Eric or Lyle is likely to commit a super strike, which nobody has suggested, nobody, that the presumption is that they should be resentenced. And so we believe that the right decision, and we have the utmost faith in Judge Jessic to do the right thing, that next Wednesday or Tuesday that they will be resentenced, and hopefully they will then go back to where they belong, which is where their family and everybody else. And that's our hope. And I'll take a couple of questions.
Can you explain why you pulled the recusal motion?
Oh, I pulled the recusal motion, for those who want to know, for a strategic legal reason. I've explained before, we have a number of avenues or balls in the air here. We have the resentencing. We also have the habeas in front of a different judge. I did not want to, without a fully developed record, because I just got this information, and Brian will talk about it, I didn't want, without a fully developed record, to get a decision here. And somebody said in there, did you pull the recusal motion because they're so lame, or he's so lame? And I said, don't be mean. Don't say that about Mr. Hochman. But no, I wanted to get a fulsome record. We still have subpoena power, and we'll get the fulsome record. It's very troubling. I'll let Mr. Friedman talk about it, but no, that is the reason.
Are Lyle and Eric going to testify? Do you want them to testify in the hearings next week?
I don't know yet. I've got to talk to them. I mean, it's been very difficult as of late to communicate with them on a secure line. So I'll make that decision over the weekend.
So the district attorney brought up things that were found in this report about them having cell phones smuggled into prison for them while seeking this resentencing. How do you respond to that?
This is not new. The cell phone, when you say smuggled in, the cell phone violations were known. I was the one who called the previous DA and said there's a cell phone violation. By the way, last time I looked, I absolutely, and the DA's office knew it before. He would have known it himself, except he fired the deputy DA who I called on day one of doing the hard work, and then the other DA that I told he gave freeway therapy to and shipped out to Norwalk, and I guess it's too long of a drive to go to Norwalk from Beverly Hills. He was too busy coming here to do press conferences.
But does it change?
No, because I knew Kovacic would ask that question. Let me tell you one more time so you don't miss it this time. Okay, Robert? I want to explain this. I'll go slow. The standard for the judge on a presumption on DA initiated is, are they likely to commit a super strike? Last time I looked, cell phones in prison are not a super strike. Anybody else? Yes.
Brought up about, I believe it was Lyle, saying that there was some potential narcissistic tendencies or minimalizations still exist. Is that what you believe is happening?
I actually, when he brought that up, I was going to say, Mr. Hochman, are they talking about you and the potential narcissistic tendencies? That was my immediate reaction. Can you imagine if we did a psychological assessment of Mr. Hochman in this case? It would be wild to get the conclusions. With that, I'll leave you with Mr. Friedman. One question, just one.
It'll be a compound question.
Oh, if it's compound, I'm not answering.
Can you talk about why you are confident that this resentencing hearing is going to come up the way you want it to come up, and what is the key issue before the judge next week?
The same one I was explaining to Kovacic. The key issue for next week is there a likelihood of a super strike? That is the law.
What's the super strike?
Super strike is what I always call one of the 7 deadly sins. And if I have to explain that to you, Terry, then
Talk about your
that's
confidence.
I'm not talking about my confidence level. I'll give you Mr. Friedman.
Today than you were yesterday?
Hi, Brian Friedman on behalf of the extended family members. So what was raised in court and what we learned and what was raised in the courtroom was the fact that DA Hochman has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a crisis PR firm, which in part has advised him concerning how to deal with the Menendez brothers situation, has advised him on what public reaction to have to that situation, what to say in press conferences, and other things. And we just recently learned of this and the involvement of, it's one thing to hire someone to be helping out in your campaign. It's quite another to be hiring a crisis PR firm to be able to deal with Eric and Lyle and that situation.
He said he hired them during the campaign.
So, I'm sorry?
He said he hired them during the campaign.
He
It feels like you're making it sound like he hired them since these proceedings began.
Well, I think what you want to try to disclose is you want to disclose if you hired them during the campaign that part of why he hired them was to be able to be advised on how to address the family members, how to deal with them, how to address the situation with Eric and Lyle. Be candid, be upfront, talk about that, get that out. I think we were all surprised that a crisis PR firm would be advising him as to how to deal with this family. It doesn't feel fair. It was raised in court. It was raised in front of the judge. It wasn't an issue today because the recusal motion was withdrawn. But if we're just looking at basic fairness, why would you do that? Why would you do that toward the family members? Why would you do that toward Eric and Lyle? Why would you get that advice? It's one thing to run a campaign and hire PR people for that. It's quite another one to be advised on how to best attack the family and how to best attack Lyle and Eric.
Are you going to file
We are going to file a motion under Marcy's law, and we will raise these issues, and we explain that to the court today.
Mr. Freeman, can I ask you about for next week? What do you see as the key aspect of that case for you?
I see the key aspect of next week. I see the key aspect of next week being, the Menendez brothers having a chance and having a real significant chance, and we think we have a very fair judge, and I'm sure Mark will do a great job at that hearing next week, and all the family wants is fairness. All they want is their chance. That's all.
it's hot down at the elected, we don't want to keep you up
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's hot. I'm here from Washington State, so woo! Anna Maria Baralt is my name. Yeah. Thank you all for being here. When I was walking up to the courthouse today, I was asked, "What do you hope for today?" And my answer was, as it always is, fairness. And I think that Judge Jessic, once again, is so thoughtful in the way he examines the questions that come before the court, the way he reads the motions, the way he really lets everybody express everything that they want to express on both sides, the defense as well as the prosecution. And as a family member, that gives me great hope because I know Lyle and Eric, I know them personally, I know their growth, I've seen their journeys, and they are absolutely well suited for this process, for resentencing, and I have no doubt that if we stay fair throughout this proceedings, that we will see them out. So a huge thank you to Judge Jessic for maintaining the integrity of the court and the legal system, and to, of course, our lawyers for arguing so well.
Anna Maria, did it bother you when you heard about the CRA report and your cousin's violations?
No. So I have not read the CRA reports. Those are confidential reports. So the lawyers have all read them at this point. I have not read them. However, I had been reassured from the beginning, from the time that they were released, by people that are actually quite neutral in this position, not necessarily on our team, and I'm not going to disclose who that was, that told me as a family member that I should take heart in knowing that there was nothing in those reports that in any way indicated dangerousness. And so for me to feel reassured as a family member. Now, I didn't need to be reassured because there is no doubt in my mind that there was going to be anything in those reports that indicated dangerousness, but it was very nice to hear that.
You have heard the arguments, obviously, from the people who see it differently than you. And,
Sure.
and some of them, I'm not talking about maybe the DA's argument, but some of the people from their heart feel differently. What do you have to say to those people who might just see it differently? What would you say to them?
So see it differently, how specifically?
Well, they feel that they should remain in prison.
Yeah, to those people, as I always say, that, listen, Lyle and Eric have spent 35 years behind bars. 35 years. That is a long time. Most people convicted of murder in the state of California do less than 25 before they are paroled out, right? 35 years is a very long time. I also would question anyone who would suggest that they would be dangerous if they were released today. You know, if you take Lyle, for example, he has spent 35 years in the prison system, and many of those years were at level 4 maximum security with the most dangerous people, and has not had a single violent infraction. Do you mean to tell me that he's going to be released from that environment and all of a sudden become violent? That does not make sense. That is not a rational argument. So to those people, I would say, I understand your concern. I would urge them to look at the bigger picture, to see that they have already paid a huge debt to society and that they are ready for that second chance.
Mark Garagos has indicated that he has not yet spoken enough to Lyle and Eric on this. It's going to be a game time decision if they actually speak to the court come next week. From the indications that you and relatives have, whether speaking with them, messaging, Facebook, social media, do you believe that Eric and Lyle do want to speak to the court?
Oh, I don't know. Those are conversations that they need to have with their lawyers. So I would never talk about strategy like that. I think that, you know, a personal opinion, I think everybody should hear from them to some degree. I mean, they are their best spokespeople. They are really tremendous to listen to.
Having seen the details of the comprehensive risk assessment, are you less optimistic now walking out of court than you were walking in this morning? No.
So again, I haven't seen the details. I have seen only little snippets that were read aloud from the district attorney. No, there was nothing in that would make me feel less confident.